this has been the only moment that I have had free to come on here and talk to you about something that I've been kind of thinking about this week and that I think is going to be really, really helpful to any of you that are trying to co-parent with a narcissist. And the reason that I feel like this is super important is because we tend to continue to give the narcissist power, even though we're divorced and even though we are trying to separate ourselves from them, we still give them so much power over our lives. We check in with them. We may try to just continue to make them like a big part of what we're doing, telling them too much about ourselves, about what's going on with us. And so this video is exactly to address that issue. And that's why I called it making them irrelevant, is because it's making the narcissistic parent irrelevant. And the reason that this is important is because this is going to be a big freedom piece for you. Hi, my name is Michelle Spexarth, and I am the founder of Heal You, Heal Your Kids coaching program, where I talk and help people work through healing from their narcissistic abuse and also raising their children healthy and well. So, if this sounds like you, stick around. I think you'll be glad you did. Okay, so this isn't about, it's not about punishing the other parent. It's not about doing that at all. And I've taken some notes, so I'm going to try to read them. Um, it is more just about taking back your own power. Okay, so it's not about punishment or revenge. It's about protecting yourself and your children from a predictable cycle of manipulation, conditional help, and emotional abuse. And I know that for me, that when I just take charge and I am considering myself to be the only person that's going to help out my children and be responsible for them in the way that they need and listening to them, then when I take back my power on this and just don't consider the other parent that they're going to do anything or take care of, be responsible for anything, it has made my life so much easier. Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about the cost of help. Okay, so what does narcissistic help look like? There's strings attached. There's endless reminders of what you've done to them, for them. Remember, they always like to be the victim. They use it as leverage in arguments to guilt you into compliance, to guilt you into whatever it is that they want from you. That's what they do. They're unreliable when you actually need them, but they'll volunteer when it gets them control or visibility. I know that in our situation, that if there's any opportunity for them to look good, oh, look, I'm this great parent. They like to paint this picture that they're this great parent. And this curl is really bothering me. Sorry about that. But when it comes down to the brass tacks of really taking care of the children and of getting the children what they need and listening to them and being the person that is there for them, they fall short. And I think that you probably, if you're in this kind of a situation, you'll be like, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. The other parts is they're going to probably criticize your parenting, your choices, and the things that you're deciding to do with your life. Another one is the help may seem generous, but the results in your children being exposed to toxic behaviors, manipulation, or being used as pawns. And I know that that my children being used as pawns happens a lot. And it's sad, but when you can just keep that in check as far as what you're making it mean about you, because really they're just projecting their shortcomings, their anger, their issues. They're projecting them onto you and making it look like they're your problems when they're really not. Okay. So what does making them irrelevant really, really mean? And I want to reiterate here that it doesn't mean you're being cruel. It means you're being real. It means that you're looking at the things that the narcissist has done over and over and over again. You look at the patterns that they are presenting to you, and you are taking them for what they are. And you realize the manipulations and you realize the types of things that are happening that are harming your children. And you do what you can to like dampen that, dampen the abuse that's happening to the children, dampening the all the other negative things, the manipulation, the gaslighting, all of these. That's what you're doing when you make them irrelevant. Okay, so you are acknowledging what is real, okay? Not thinking and hoping that they're going to be anything other than what they really are. And this was a really tough thing for me because I remember I would be so surprised by something that they'd done a million times. And you're just like, I, what? How could they do that? And then you start thinking, you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is the same thing they always do. Why am I so surprised? So when you actually really just look at the reality of things and just accept them for what they are, this is what this person is going to be. They're not going to change. They're not going to they may pull a different tactic, but the baseline of it is always the same. Okay, the other thing is you're building a life structure where their involvement or lack thereof doesn't impact your daily functioning. So you make sure that the kids are taken care of the way they need to be taken care of. You just assume the responsibility. I mean, if you really think about it, you were doing that when you were there anyway. You were the one that was being responsible for everything. You were the one that was taking care of the needs of your children. You probably neglected yourself so poorly, so badly during that time, but you made sure that your children were taken care of. By making them irrelevant, you are protecting your peace and your children's emotional safety. Okay. So what this means is that you build alternative support systems. Okay. So you probably have friends and you have families that are in your circle, and in that circle be more reliant with them. Work with them to make sure that the kids get to where they need to be, or that they are taken care of in the way that they need to be taken care of by you, and that you make sure that you use your friends for that, and that you are there for your friends also. You may have to make financial adjustments so that you don't need their money. This one's a big one. This is the one that stops so many people in their tracks, is because when we are financially dependent on them, then it really does stuff to our mental state. It really does, because that just still gives them some kind of control. Arrange childcare that doesn't involve them. Just like I was talking, if your kids need to get someplace and you're the one that has them, then make sure that they get to where they need to go, but don't rely on that other parent to do it. Create boundaries around information that they receive about your life. Be very, very careful. This one can be a really sticky wicket. And the reason I say that is because this bleeds into so many areas. And this is the way I have dealt with it, right, wrong, or indifferent. And I feel like it was the right thing for me to do. You may have to come up with some kind of interesting rendition of this, but basically, anybody that was palling up with them or has decided to be on their side, or however you want to put that, I do not tell them anything, because I cannot trust that they won't say something to my ex. And it does take some thinking about it, and there's a lot of people that you'll stop telling a bunch of stuff to, because this is the thing, they will not intentionally try to bleed information. It may be completely unintentional, and they may just do that. And so, just to safeguard yourself, it is so much better just to go ahead and err on the side of caution and don't tell them anything. And don't tell your ex things. And don't, I mean, if you're communicating with your narcissistic ex on anything other than the children in a gray rock method, it's probably going to come back and bite you. And don't expect them to show up emotionally because that way you won't be disappointed. So let's talk about some practical steps on doing this. Okay, the one is where are you auditing some of your current dependencies? So I want you to think about this. Where are you still relying on them? Are you relying on them for childcare, for money, for emotional support, for validation? This one is there's a lot there. And when you rely on them for anything, then they can come back on you with that. And they're going to use it and they're going to weaponize it. So which of these dependencies causes the most harm? And you're just going to pick one area because to choose all of them at the same time is going to be so overwhelming. But this is the great thing about that is that when you start seeing how you rely on them in one area, it's so funny how everything else kind of tightens up on that. Which one could you eliminate first? Which one, like if you are talking to them for emotional support, um, how could you stop doing that? And I want to warn you that when you do this, that something that happens is that they may retaliate. They may get really nasty because you have removed yourself and they don't want that. They want to keep you on that little leash where they can make sure that they still have the supply of you. Okay. The second thing is that build your alternative network. So I touched on this briefly. Trusted friends who can be called on in emergencies, child care or babysitting services. These do cost money, but at the same time, your freedom from them is going to be so much bigger than that. Okay, support groups for people with narcissistic parents. Um, so there are support groups out there that are going to help you that you might be able to talk to about the things that you are experiencing, and that would be a way better place to find friends or to have an outlet to talk about things rather than your ex. Therapy to process the grief and to start building that resilience. Also, coaching is so good to help you to find your way and to start healing and to realize that you really can do this. You really can do this on your own. You'll be surprised when it's really pointed out to you how much you already are doing on your own. And then there's community resources. So maybe you have neighborhood groups or parenting co-ops or churches or any kind of groups. Like our sports community is huge. And so we rely a lot on other parents to like move our kids around to wherever they need to go. You know, we rely on each other back and forth, and it is so much fun to build that community for yourself. So the third one is financial independence. If they do provide you money, start planning your exit from the dependency. And this may mean that you sit down and brainstorm about different kinds of jobs that you could do or that you would like to do and start expanding just your mind on the things that you can make money doing. And really, that is something that I do in my coaching also, is that we start exploring different things that you like, different things that can make you money, that would be all on your own. It might mean a lifestyle change, but the financial strings, they really are hard to break. They really, really are. But the more that you make your own money, the better you feel about yourself too. And their money never really is a gift. It's a way for them to manipulate and to abuse, maybe not just you, but your children too. Okay, so information diet. Let's talk about that a little bit. They can't weaponize what they don't know. So limit your information. Limit the amount of stuff that they know about you. And this includes blocking them on social media. And I know if you have children with them that you cannot block them from whatever communication app that you guys share. Maybe it's texting or whatever it is like that. But on your social media, getting them blocked on that so they cannot see what's going on is really, really important. And I also want to bring your attention to the fact that you very well may need to keep watching for them to create new social media places for themselves. Like they are going to create a new page so that they can get in and see your information. They may create, like on Instagram, it's so easy just to create something and then you can look at other people's information. And so you really got to watch for that too. You can't share your struggles or your schedule or your life with them. Gray rock method, if you've heard of that, you're boring, you're a gray rock. And my basic thing on that is that when you read a communication from them, like a text or anything like that, and I highly recommend that you only communicate through some kind of written communication. And you're only going to talk about the facts. You're going to read what they've written to you. You're going to find the things that you need to respond to that are factual, and you're going to respond with just the facts, just the bare amount of information. You don't have to be nice to them anymore. Okay? What your children are doing when they are with you, their schedules and their activities, they're not the other person's business. And I know that sounds harsh, but it does protect your children from things that can be used against them by their other parent. And you need to prepare for pushback. They are going to notice the distance. And this is where I was talking about as far as they may get really, really nasty, but you stick to your guns and you keep going on this and it will slow down. It's not probably ever going to 100% stop, but it will slow down. And then about people like family members or friends, like if you're in a community and all of a sudden you see that Jenny is talking a lot to your ex, then don't give Jenny any information because she very well, like I said, inadvertently may tell them, and then they've got that information. Okay. And you do not owe anybody an explanation. So let's address the guilt. Okay. Um, so the voice in your head saying, yeah, but it's their dad, it's their mom, they should know what's going on, or their, family, or, if you have a narcissistic parent and you're trying to create boundaries and you tell that parent so much information and then they use it against you, um, you know, just because they are your family, you don't owe them anything. And that is such a hard thing to really think about. But let's reframe it. So, a title doesn't grant unlimited access to harm you. Your children deserve protection from emotional abuse, even if it's a family member, including their parent. You are breaking generational trauma. Okay. So probably if you found yourself in a narcissistic relationship, you had it somewhere in your life as you were growing up. And so you're going to have other parts that have to be monitored by you. And when you start looking at this narcissistic relationship that you have escaped from, you're going to start probably looking at your past also. And when you do that, you will realize that there are lots of places and there's lots of people that you need to put those boundaries up for so that you are protected. Okay. And remember, your children are watching you and they're watching how you handle relationships, and you're teaching them about boundaries. You're teaching them about self-respect. You're teaching them that it's okay that they don't share all the information. It's okay. Okay. So I want to leave you with this. Making them irrelevant isn't making yourself powerless. It's making you powerful. You're bringing back your power when you make them irrelevant. And every system that you build without them is a brick in your own foundational freedom. So important for you to have your own self reliance, for you to have your own agency, and for you to be able to stand solid in who you are and have the peace inside of you that is pretty unshakable. Okay? Your life is going to become lighter when you stop managing other people's emotions or when you are relying on toxic relationships to be able to talk about things. And your children are going to benefit also from a parent, that's you, who is less stressed out, less anxious, and less controlled. You are going to be so amazing because you're going to be able to just be with your kids and you're going to be able to be that person that is just okay with themselves. So I want you to start with just one dependency. Pick one that causes the most pain, and I want you to work on that one first. And give yourself permission to prioritize peace over some obligation that you feel towards somebody that consistently has abused you all through these years. Okay? And this week, I want you to find one person that is safe. I want you to find a person that you can add to your support system. There may be somebody at a game or at some school thing that's happening, and you have seen them for a long time and you've wanted to talk to them, but you haven't. I am guilty of this. Part of that for me was shame. I didn't feel like I was worthy enough to talk to anybody because, oh, they're going to find out all the horrible things about me and then they're going to think I'm an awful person. None of those things were true. And the shame that you feel, oh my goodness, that is from all of the abuse. Because a person that feels decent about themselves, so remember, shame is I am bad. Guilt is I did something bad. So you are not bad. You do not have to feel shame. You do not need to feel shame. You are good. Okay, so my final thought is you're not abandoning them. You're choosing yourself and your children. They abandoned you a long time ago. They abandoned you when they started abusing you and they started treating you like crap and not respecting you and not loving you. So you get to love you now. You get to help your children to heal. You are not selfish. You are surviving. And self-preservation is very important. And that's what this comes down to is self-preservation and doing the things you need to do for yourself so that you can take care of these babies well, heal yourself, take care of yourself, because seriously, it's not selfish to take care of yourself. I know sometimes that's what we've been told and that's what we've heard, but it's not true. We do need to take care of ourselves. Remember, you are with you your whole life. You have to take care of yourself. And I've always thought, well, if I don't take care of myself, who will? Because nobody else is responsible for me but me. So I wanted to leave you with that, but I wanted to bring up this topic because it really was I don't know, it was just like one of these things that I don't really think that anybody's talked about, or if they have, it hasn't been much. And so I wanted to put it out there because I want you to give it some thought. Really think about, what you are doing in your life with your narcissistic ex still, and how much are they still in control of things in your life? Because if you divorced them, it means that you are done having that part of life with them, which means you have to separate yourself and you have to make your own life with your own thoughts and your own judgments because you are so capable of it. So, if you would be interested in doing, this is kind of off the topic, but this is what I'm doing for like around the Christmas time, is that there are so many people during the Christmas time that are dreading it. So dreading it because this may be their first holiday away from the marriage, and you may be alone. Your children may, this may be the holiday that they're not with you, and whatever that may look like, or maybe the holidays have just been awful forever, and you're really not sure how to change things. And so I would really encourage you to message me, and you can message me holiday. And I have an intentional holiday plan that I would like to walk you through. We will get on a call and we can do that, and we will set you a plan for your Christmas so that it is not the most awful thing ever as it you may be thinking it's going to be, or you're dreading it. But let's cut that off and let's make a plan so that you can have a holiday that you are absolutely intentional about and that goes the way that you were wanting it to go, or most of the way. I mean, if there's other people involved, they're wild cards. They're all wild cards. I'm not going to lie. Anything could happen. So, anyway, I want you to message me holiday, and we will set up a time to do your intentional holiday plan so that you are on the ball with it and you're ready for it. So I hope that this topic has been super helpful for you. And if you would like more information about my coaching program, then reach out to me and let me know. And if you are wanting some more free resources, I have more resources that I would be more than happy to share with you. Just tell me your topic and I can absolutely send you something. So I hope that the rest of your day goes well, and I'll catch you on the next live.